putting so this is so incredible to me.
And he says, I said, so when you get to the Bellagio, where do you park something like this when it's all striped for tourist sedans?
Right?
He said, well, we had the same question. So we went inside and we parked in reception under the portico.
Yeah.
You check in,
Uh-huh.
and we go up to the desk, and the on-duty guy freaked out. So he goes and gets the manager, and he said, oh, they went out to look at it. It looked just like this, like a show fire truck. He said, oh, park it in the fire lane.
It's a fire lane.
Right in the entrance to the
Perfect.
to the casino.
At the Bellagio.
And they left it there for 4 days.
Oh, that is just so cool.
He said, if there's a fire, who's going to give you a ticket for being a fire engine in the fire lane? And so he said that was the best part of the whole trip. Park it in the fire.
Oh my gosh.
And people, the manager said, anytime you come back, park it.
There's spots reserved.
We loved it because we got so much comment from
great.
the people checking in. We were actually considering an exhibit of an old fire engine in the fire space. He said it was a terrific attraction. We loved having you guys.
What a fantastic story. Oh my gosh. And so how did you get it from California to here? You didn't drive it, or did you?
I was going to, but the tires are obsolete.
Oh, yeah.
Fire trucks do not carry a spare tire because there's no time on the way to a fire
To change the tire.
change a tire.
You get a flat, you call another fire
It's a
engineer.
major undertaking. So
Right.
they don't even carry it, and they take that weight allowance and put it in water that they carry.
I see.
So the tires are obsolete. If I had a flat on the front wheel, all I could do is take off one of the back tires that are dual,
Oh, that's right. It's got dually in the back, yeah.
but then they don't match. So these front tires are called steering tires, and the back tires are called driving tires.
I see.
And the patterns are not the
Look
same.
at the little one.
So you would have a real hard time driving from Palo Alto with unmatched
You would.
steering. So I decided
But
I would try to get new tires. But they don't make tires in this size wheel.
oh,
So you have to buy new wheels.
to accommodate the tire,
And it was $5,000. And there's nothing wrong with these tires as long as you're in Albuquerque,
Right.
not driving 2,000 miles to San Francisco, or 1,000 miles. So I had it delivered by a giant flatbed.
Oh my gosh, that must have been a sight.
I have the pictures. It comes, this piece on the flatbed is at my ear. And then the rest of the truck is 14 feet in the air. I mean, just enough to get
Never
under
seen flatbeds that giant.
53 feet long without the truck.
Yeah,
Big
just
semi.
the bed.
Just
Wow.
the bed. And it's called a lowboy rollback. And
Volkswagen bus has a Corvair engine.
that's in the same category as this thing. Can you believe that?
Unusual.
What's he doing competing with fire trucks? It makes no sense.
They're just unique. I don't know. It's just goofy. But anyway, I'm sorry. I distracted
anyway,
from your story.
The
The flatbed was gigantic.
53 feet long, and he presses a button, and the top half of the flatbed extends back 20-something feet and then lowers.
Wow.
So it turns into a giant drive-on. He didn't drive, he winched it, but basically you don't need a loading dock. Because the guy I bought it from didn't have a loading dock. You need something 4 or 5 feet high for a regular flatbed.
Right, normally, right?
And then if you load it like that, you can't deliver it to a guy at his house unless he has his own loading dock.
Right.
And then so they have to drive around looking for a loading
way
dock
to, yeah.
that will allow a private trucker to come in. And most loading docks are owned by moving truck companies. And so they don't let
Way, yeah.
So it took 3 weeks of brokering it on the internet before somebody who had that equipment
Could also
was
manage.
coming in this direction.
Wow.
I'm 2 miles from the Big Eye,
Uh huh.
and I'm thinking this ought to be a gimme because everybody's going past Albuquerque. All you do is get off the freeway.
You would think it would be easy, right? But no way.
Turns
right?
out that Albuquerque buys very little and makes nothing.
Ah.
So there are very few deliveries and nothing leaving Albuquerque, which means they have to head back empty.
I
And
see.
they are loath to do that. So
Yeah, it's not good
consequently,
business.
Nobody wanted to come here. It took 3 weeks
To get that together, and you did it all.
Yeah, just me, and it cost me $3,600 to induce somebody to come here.
To make it worth their while. Wow.
But the funny thing is, and it's interesting how they price it, because by the time my friend and I flew to San Francisco, got a motel, rented a car to go get this, and then drove slowly back to Albuquerque for 4 days.
Yeah.
The fire truck is comfortable at 50.
Okay, that's interesting
It's
news.
not comfortable at 65
Anything
and
above,
70.
no way, right?
Because
Gearing.
they're not designed for that. And so it would have been 4 days minimum to get from San Francisco to here, assuming no blown tires. If we blew a tire and they don't make the tire,
You'd have to
then
wait.
you have to wait for a flatbed like you would.
Yeah, anyway, right.
And so, to the extent that the tires are terrific, and in town, they're not going to be a problem.
Do you think that they're tires from the 1950s or 60s? Or?
No, they're probably from the late 80s.
Oh, okay.
But once they don't make the tire size,
Definitely
it
becomes a challenge.
It becomes an issue. How do you drive the vehicle if you can't get tires for it?
That's right.
And then when you get the new wheels that fit the new tires, they're from a Prevost bus, and so they're the polished aluminum ones.
Oh,
with
yeah, those real
with the
fancy
big,
ones,
big
right?
holes that you see all the rock and roll tour buses have. And it looks totally out of place.
Right, doesn't fit at all.
on a vehicle like this. So bottom
Wow.
line is, the cost was identical, within $100. And I just said it's less worry when a pro driver, and I don't know how to drive a fire truck. I mean,
On top of that, right?
yeah, so you would learn on the way home. So the trucker said they taught me how to drive it at the place where I picked it up.
Oh,
Got a couple of hours.
they familiarize you.
Let's-
That's good.
I'll show you how to drive it.
Uh huh.
So it worked out great.
It sure did.
And
What a story.
It fits my level of eccentricity.
Yes, apparently.
And everything works. I've had to do nothing on the truck. In fact, Lexus of Albuquerque sent everybody in the neighborhood, this was 2 years ago this June, a postcard to induce you to come and look at their used cars. And the postcard said, bring anything you drive and we will wash it and detail it.
Oh, and you took them up on.
And it didn't say what it was.
Right.
So I called the assistant manager and he said, I'll just tell you that it's designed to put you in the waiting room in the used car department where a salesman will talk your ear off for the hour that we wash your vehicle.
Right.
But he said it would be really cool to flummox the manager when you get here with a fire truck. And they have an 8-bay wash deal. They can wash 8 cars at the same time.
Could you even fit this in the bay? Yeah.
Well, it fits height-wise. It stuck out about 8 feet because they're old service bays that they've
Right.
taken, and they built a new service facility. So this is all just for washing customer cars. And when you bring your car in for service at Lexus, it comes back washed. Right?
That's part of their.
So it's
Operation.
a blind deal you come in the main entrance and go down the entire side of the property, and they don't know you're coming, right? So the owner's brother, the guy that's in all the commercials,
Yeah.
right? He runs the wash department for the PR,
The owner's brother runs it. Oh, okay.
and he's at a lectern like preacher would have
Yeah.
at the front of the
At a
church,
lectern, yes.
and it's just outside. And so he's scheduling and taking these postcards from people, right? And he doesn't see the fire truck show up coming around the corner. And he's thinking, you know, we don't have any hazardous waste. What are you doing here?
Yeah, he just thought of the
He thought it
fire
was-
department, nothing to do with.
Absolutely. And I said, oh, I'm responding to your invitation to bring what you drive in for a car wash. And he doesn't know that his assistant traded it in as a, what are they used to call it, punking somebody.
Oh,
It's
right,
like,
right,
you know,
yes.
And so he's been set up, doesn't know it, and he says, well, I said, you know, we can't wash a fire truck. I said, it just says, you know, bring anything that you're driving and into this free car wash. Oh, I'm here. And he says, well, you'll need to show me what you got in the mail. Well, I was smart enough to bring the postcard.
Yeah, thank goodness, right.
And I walk up to him and he says, all right. And you can't turn something this big if you're parallel to the garage door
Yeah.
into the garage. And once all of his 12 guys loose on the fire.
this,
And
yeah.
they're out there with their little cell
Going
phone
at
cameras
it.
and they're calling their what. And
That's the
it's like
event
a
of the season.
200-car parking lot, and you can't turn this thing around. So he took these 12 guys, and all the used cars have keys in them, and he sent them out 12 at a time to form an aisle down across and come back straight in
To make room,
to
yeah.
make room for the truck. And those guys were so happy. They were crawling over this thing.
What
12
an
at-
event. Oh
and
my gosh.
One guy only does the tires.
Acha.
One guy only does the chrome.
Yeah.
One guy does the glass. So
Special.
they've had it subdivided so they can do 15 minutes on a car and have it spotless. Well, they did the same thing with the fire trucks, but all 12 of them stopped what they were doing on customer cars and did the fire truck. I mean,
They really did
this
it.
is 2 years ago. This is the tire black that they put on. That is a real primo Lexus
Yeah.
look. And they shined the tires, polished the chrome lug nuts. I mean,
And it took them about 15 minutes to
no, it took them
half an hour.
about an hour.
An hour?
So,
Wow.
12 guys. So it was free, but I said, you know, what can I do to show my appreciation? I said, well, you know, on Saturday we work half a day, and normally we buy pizza for the guys at Costco. So I went and bought 8 of the giant Costco
Oh,
pizzas.
nice.
And because it was Saturday, they all wanted to go home. So a couple of them grabbed a couple of pizzas.
We're buying a house?
And then 4 of the pizzas went unused. And then the secretary started coming out for pizza. You know, everybody that had
Yeah,
to be
there was
there
free
for
pizza.
the rest of the
Yeah.
day. But it was such a fun event. And to
Man,
see
that
them
Spitfire is not
enjoy-
stock.
They said, you know, their employees are treated very well.
Yeah.
The car wash people, you think, would be itinerant, kind of, and some of them had been here 13 years,
Yes.
just washing cars 5 days a week.
Wow.
And they saw this, and there was such joy. And they came up to me afterwards and said, we had so much fun because all we see is Lexus sedans. Or people trading in the used cars. And we never see anything
No way.
that's this wonderful up close, and we can get in it, climb over it.
Yeah.
They were in the truck
Kinesthetic
bed.
experience. Yes.
So everybody had a great time.
that is so cool. Wow, another cool car.
I actually left a message, and would they sponsor it and wash it every year for a month? And they could put a little sign out,
Oh, advertising. Yeah.
you know, detail detailed by Lexus of Alpine.
That's a good idea.
But the owner never,
It was a little bit too much.
I think the manager, the brother, was so pissed that they punked him that he didn't.
Right.
He didn't relay the message.
But that's so awesome how that happened. Oh my
This-
gosh.
This is the polish that they put on it 2 years ago.
They did put polish on it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Detailed spray, but I have not washed it. It was so dusty from the
How,
last
do you have
couple
like
of
an RV thing at your house? How do you? You
I
don't
have-
leave it outside.
No, I have a big dream garage. that I
Yeah.
built. I took the retirement fund,
Uh
which I wasn't enjoying,
huh. Uh huh.
because all you get is a statement, you know.
Whoops.
And I blew it on a dream garage that was always a figment of my imagination. As
Yeah.
a kid, growing up in a 2-bedroom New York City apartment
Oh, okay.
where I had a workbench
Uh-huh.
as an 11-year-old, a 6-foot workbench in my room that required a fold-out bed.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I had a
Electric
fold-out bed that you could only get into from the hallway by jumping onto the bed because it went right to the workbench. You couldn't walk between the workbench and the bed.
Oh,
There was, you know, what, 8 or 10 foot by 9 foot wide bedroom.
right. How big is the dream garage?
Dream garage is bigger than the house.
Like 100 feet long or longer?
96 feet
About-
long, double deep, so it's 3259 square feet.
That's pretty big.
So
And it lives alone in there. Do you keep other things,
I-
motorcycles or whatever?
I have no more motorcycles, but I shouldn't say no more. I only had one in my life.
But it works out
I-
great.
I have old cars
Yeah.
and plenty of work room.
Oh, there's plenty of space. Yeah, that's
Plenty
really
of space. I
nice.
even rent space to my friends with 2-car garages. Now that they've come into money in their 60s, they've become very successful.
Uh-huh.
They keep pressing the buy it now button to the point where they don't even
guy's coming.
What's happening? Thank you. They don't even go to look at the cars. I said, how do you spend $15,000 and not look at the car? She says, because it's not worth my time, because I can hire somebody to fix whatever's wrong with a $15,000 car
Uh-huh.
for the same amount I would spend, and I would miss work and all the income.
What a combination situation, right?
So he now has 8 cars and a 2-car garage. And so he rents space in my garage
Uh-huh.
because after building this, my daughter got herself into Harvard for an MBA. I have a truck in front of you.
I'm recording this again, yeah?
When you pulled up to a fire hydrant, it disappeared below your sight line as the driver.
He's the right man for that automobile. He looks
White on white,
everything. He's just got it.
white hair, white car, white shirt. So it made the truck very difficult to maneuver
Yeah, it
in
wasn't
a city.
efficient, right?
In a city.
Dangerous for a fire truck, especially, right?
So they were hard to drive. You needed a spotter to tell you how close you were to the fire hydrant.
Yeah, yeah.
Disappeared below your sight line.
Not acceptable for an emergency vehicle, right?
But all of them were like that.
Isn't that something?
And it was the classic design. In fact, they're now very collectible to have that configuration.
Oh, yeah, it's cool looking, but just not a good
Yeah.
practical fire
So
truck.
they invented this and put that company that was famous for designing them that way
Yeah,
out of business by the end of World War II.
yeah, well,
And
that's
that
understandable.
was called Aaron's Fox Fire Truck Company. They were
Aaron's
located in
Fox.
Cincinnati.
Huh, and you said this was 1981.
One. But the shape and the fact that the driver is in front of the steering axle
Uh-huh.
was the idea of American La France. And all modern trash collection where they have to approach
Yeah,
canisters.
adopt the same
And
Man,
the funny thing
yeah,
is,
dude.
when they train the firemen on this, everybody is used to pulling out into an intersection
Uh-huh.
based on where the curb is in the hood,
Okay.
right? So there is no hood. But with the newbies, they pull out and think, oh, if I'm facing oncoming traffic to my left at an intersection,
Uh-huh.
it must be okay to make the right-hand turn. But because they're in front of the steering wheels go right into the curb.
Yeah.
And the instructors laugh their butts off with the newbie fire personnel
Completely
training to
changed,
drive the
yeah.
fire trucks. So basically, when you make a right turn into an intersection,
Uh-huh.
you basically pull out almost into oncoming traffic in the second lane
Yeah, because your wheels are behind you.
behind you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different way
Approach.
that you have to learn of driving.
That is fascinating.
Parking, maneuvering the truck, the whole
Oh,
thing.
everything. Whole new geometry. Yeah.
So it's a new skill. So it's
Absolutely.
being in my senior years,
Uh-huh.
it's fun to acquire a new skill. But I have a teacher that's an old tow truck driver
Oh.
that teaches me
Fills
how
you
to,
in some.
how
Yeah.
to drive this.
Well, that one's
Occasionally I jump a curb making a right-hand turn.
I can imagine it takes a few,
Because
right?
you're reluctant to cross the double yellow line to make the right-hand turn, but the thing is 30 feet long, and the
Yeah,
lane
I don't know if I can even do that.
the lane
I
is
can't even
30
imagine.
feet wide.
Right.
So you have to pull out 30 feet before you
Can even begin.
to make the turn.
It would take me a while to get a grasp of that situation. Well, thank you so much. My gosh, I didn't expect to get such. I didn't even think of filming it when I first asked you, and then got this unbelievable video. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's like
was
the
gonna
longest
say-
one I've ever made in my life, I think.
Send it to my daughter. Here's your dad at the car show.
Yeah.
She said, "Dad, take plenty of pictures. I haven't been in Albuquerque all year."
Oh my gosh. Well,
Oh, in fact, if you're a video guy, this one, I don't know if you've ever heard of Haggerty Insurance.
yes.
They
Actually,
insure
claim
only
us.
classic
Right.
cars, motorcycles, and wooden boats.
Yeah.
This ended up as their classic of the year.
Oh, this is with Haggerty.
So
Wow.
you can Google
Just getting your name.
France fire truck. They flew director, a videographer, and an assistant
Uh-huh.
out to Albuquerque for 4 days
Document.
to
Gather.
film me
Yeah.
at a car show, Cars and Coffee at Jefferson.
Oh yeah, I've never gone, I know of it.
And
Okay.
they interviewed me in my garage mahal.
Crash Mall.
And my dad was with New York City Fire Department.
Oh.
And so,
Oh, so that's perfect that you got that hat on top of that.
so this started out as a tribute to the 9/11 New York firefighters that died. Here's my Mexico plate that I got.
Yeah.
Remember 9/11.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that. Interesting. Perfect. Dude,
It was on
contact.
the back of the truck, when it was current.
Uh-huh.
But I had a sign company that was going to sponsor all 343 names of the firemen that died that day,
Oh my gosh.
and they never came through.
Ah.
But it was it'd be like $5,000 to make the sign, and make it detachable.
More involved of a procedure than simple, right?
Yeah, it wasn't just me trying to letter a sign.
Right. Huh.
So
Well, your name is Gary?
Yeah, Singer.
Gary Singer.
So if you have access to the internet,
Uh-huh.
you can Google Haggerty,
And this will be there.
Haggerty Classic of the Year, and there's a 5-minute video. They took
For-
seven hours, and they professionally
Edited it.
down to 5 minutes.
Man, what year?
And the hero lives in the end.
Acha.